So thank you for tuning into tonight's Unit Success Workshop about Webelos to Scout transitions. My name is Rob DeFazio from the Membership and Unit Service team with the Mayflower Council. It's a pleasure to be your host this evening as we get started. Once again, a reminder to keep your microphones muted. And we have a lot of information to cover tonight, so let's go. So as you know, Webelos at the end of their Cub Scout journey will get ready to prepare for the next leg of their scouting journey by crossing over to Scouts BSA. Webelos and their families should be familiar and comfortable with the youth and the leaders of their Scouts BSA troop that they're going to cross over to, as well as their role within the troop activities, and they should feel excited about beginning this new adventure. We want to make sure that these transitions between Webelos to Scouts is a smooth transition with minimal time lost in between crossing over. The crossover ceremony itself should signify a transition to a new level of scouting for that particular scout. The keys to this good Webelos transition consist in a couple of areas. The first one, obviously, is the relationship between the Cubmaster, the Scoutmaster, and the family. At the end of the day, the scout and the family are going to decide what is it going to be in the best interest for that particular scout in their scouting journey. But it is also equally important that we emphasize a good ongoing working relationship between the leaders of a Cub Scout pack and a Scouts BSA troop or troops. There are some communities in our council footprint that have more than one Scouts BSA troop. So we want to make sure that we're keeping all the options open and allowing the scout and their family to make the best decision for their scouting journey that works for them. At the end of the day, we all have a goal. And our goal is to graduate every Webelos scout into a Scouts BSA troop. Now, one of the things that we do want to obviously address here is we do realize that with the transition to family packs and family dens, we are welcoming more young women into the Cub Scout program that will eventually cross over into a Scouts BSA girls troop. That is something that we do know that is going to be needing on the council end to be developed a little bit more. And we do have a plan in place to work on that as we progress in the next year or so. But what I want to do right now is I would like to break down who's responsible for what, because there are some responsibilities here on the pack and the troop. So among the pack responsibilities, first one is to develop a working relationship with the leadership of a Scouts BSA troop or troops in your town or community. We would like to encourage you to compare calendars of the troop and the packed activities to make sure you can coordinate opportunities for the troop to support the pack. At the same time, we would like the pack to be able to allow their Webelos to attend troop events. So comparing those schedules is equally important. We would like for the pack to work with troop leaders and their senior patrol leaders to secure den chiefs for each Webelo den and Cub Scout den when applicable. We also would like to encourage working with troop leaders to plan and conduct Webelos overnight activities. In addition, working with troop leaders to plan visits to troop meetings. And obviously a scout is courteous, so we want to remind everybody, don't show up unexpected. Communicate with that Scouts BSA troop, Scoutmaster, to make sure that you've scheduled the night in advance and that they are aware of it. Invite the Scoutmaster and the troop youth leaders to special pack activities. That could be your blue and gold banquet. That could even be a special recognition night. And obviously you want to make sure that they are also invited to the crossover. We would like for you also, packs, to be able to plan a meaningful crossover ceremony in conjunction or with the support of, rather, the Scoutmasters where your Webelos are going to be crossing over to. We want you to include them to be present and to accept the Webelos Scouts as they cross over. And lastly, we would like to encourage Webelos leaders in particular to be able to move along to the troop if that so allows and is something that they would like to do. We want that encouragement there because of a couple of reasons. First of all, it does support the troop where the kids are crossing over to, but secondly, it also is going to make the Webelos feel a little more comfortable in that new environment if they have an adult leader that they know and that they've worked with before. Plus, it also does allow, on the other end, the adult leader to be able to continue to work with that particular scout to make them a little more comfortable in their new Scouts BSA troop. Moving on to Scouts BSA troop responsibilities, we would like to encourage and have Scouts BSA troops select scouts to serve as den chiefs for each Webelos Scout den and Cub Scout den and arrange for training. Again, we know the senior patrol leaders usually have a hand in selecting den chiefs, so we want to make sure that they're doing their part, but we also, as leaders, want to make sure that those den chiefs are getting the proper training. Scouts BSA troops should serve as a resource for overnight activities that the pack might be putting on. Maybe you're providing some equipment or helping out with leadership or logistics for a Cub Pack's overnight activity. We want to encourage that. We feel that the more that packs and troops work together, they have an opportunity and kids become more comfortable and look up to the older kids. So having them as a resource for overnight activities can be part of that. We would like to encourage Scoutmasters to meet with Bear Cub Scout dens and explain how being a Webelos Scout will help prepare them for joining Scouts BSA. Let's start this process when they're bears before they transition into being Webelos. It may help deter some of those bears that maybe are having thoughts about not sticking around and continuing their scouting experience. So if you're stepping in to help be part of that solution, that's always a step in the right direction. Additionally, we would like for Scouts BSA troops and Scoutmasters to coordinate with the pack for Webelos dens to visit a troop meeting. It should be planned out several weeks in advance and coordinated with the Cubmaster and the Webelos den leader. We want to make sure everybody's on the same page on this one so that the kids don't miss out on their opportunity. At the same time, this does give the troop the opportunity to be able to plan a great meeting that's going to allow the kids to be engaged. It shouldn't be show and tell. It should be engage them, get them into an activity that they can participate in and feel like they're already starting their scouting journey with. Provide each Webelos Scout with a copy of the troop's activities for the upcoming year. That's always key. It's always good to make sure that the Webelos know what to expect once they cross over. And if it's part of the upcoming year, they're going to be coming in right in the middle of that. So for them to have a schedule of what's coming up does a couple of things. It gives them something to look forward to, obviously. And at the same time, it allows them to schedule with their families. Work with Webelos leaders and encourage them to move into the troop with their Webelos Scouts and to serve as either a committee member or an assistant Scoutmaster. We kind of talked about how important that is already. And again, that is something that we would like to encourage because it also keeps our leaders and helps the Scouts BSA with their volunteers that they might need for certain things they have coming up. Conduct a Scoutmaster conference under the guidance of the Scoutmaster or the assistant designated by the Scoutmaster, and also work with the Cubmaster in planning the meaningful crossover ceremony. Crossover ceremonies aren't just something that should be dumped on the Cubmaster or the pack. It should be something that the Scouts BSA troop is part of because there is a benefit there. And to receive those new scouts and make them feel welcome, maybe you are at the crossover ceremony and you have a troop neckerchief and a Scouts BSA handbook ready for the new scouts, or maybe an orientation guide. Some troops have things that they give their new scouts when they come in, and be part of that and show that off at a crossover ceremony. It shows your commitment to continuing each scout's journey when you show up. So now we've talked about some of the responsibilities here. What I've done is I've prepared a month-by-month breakdown of what should be worked on in this particular case for transitions. And we're going to go through that and talk about what the pack should be doing and what the troop should be doing. Now, as you work with some of the packs or some of the troops, excuse me, you might find that the timing might be off on some of this, okay? But that's where a good ongoing relationship is very important. And again, if you're in a community where there are multiple Scouts BSA troops and they are all trying to work with you, that should be a welcomed opportunity because it gives your scouts more options to choose from about where they want to go with their scouting journey. Sometimes they may want to stay with their buddies. Sometimes they might participate in an activity that one troop does. Maybe one troop does more camping or does more hiking or focuses more on more community service. Whatever that scout is going to feel like they're going to fit in most with is where they're going to go. And we should be encouraging that opportunity to let them make that decision. We should obviously guide them. And there's some resources in here we're going to talk about in a minute that the council has that go out to the families to allow them to help make that decision. But obviously, as leaders on the PAC side, part of our commitment is to make sure that we present all the options to allow the family and the scout to make the best decisions. Same thing with the troop. We want you to be authentic. We want you to be genuine. We want you to show off yourselves at your best. If that's something that if you're, again, in a community where you have multiple troops and there's going to be a decision involved. Some Scouts BSA communities have one pack and one troop, and you've heard the term feeder troops. And we want to encourage that as well and make sure that we're keeping kids. We don't want to send a kid who, for example, maybe is doing their Cub Scout journey in Braintree. We don't want to send them to East Bridgewater to their Scouts BSA troop. We want to try and keep them all in the same community unless there's a good reason for them to transition over. But again, it is their decision. We obviously want to present the local options and keep it in the community if we can. But again, each situation is going to be different. So please feel free, if you uncover a situation where it's like that, feel free to ask if there's a particular reason and respect the family. That's what it's all about. So we're going to start month by month with the month that we actually are ending right now. And if you haven't done this stuff already in your particular roles, please feel free to carry it over into the month of October. Again, none of this is etched in stone, and there is a little bit of room and opportunity for you to move things into a different month if that is something you need to do. So on the Cubmaster and Webelos Den Leader level, you should be requesting a den chief from the Scoutmaster of a troop that you're working with. You should have your den, your Webelos 2 den, choose a patrol name, select a patrol patch, and create a flag and elect a patrol leader as if you're getting ready to transition over. Because guess what? We're getting them prepped over so that, for example, all of the kids in Cub Pack 242, for example, that go over to Troop 242, there's a brand new patrol for them. And they don't have to move the kids around, and all those kids are able to work together. We also want you to help the Webelos prepare for a joint camping trip between the Webelos and the Scouts BSA troop in the month of October. For the Scoutmaster, you just got done with summer camp. So one of the things we'd like for you to do is look ahead to next year and start reserving your summer camp reservations now. You should also be working with your senior patrol leader to appoint den chiefs for the pack. Mail a letter of introduction to second-year Webelos Scouts to introduce them to your troop. Now, you don't have to mail a letter. We have email. Obviously, make sure that you include the parents in that address. Make sure that you have something in there for the youth, but also maybe have a paragraph specifically for the adults on what they can expect. And again, plan that overnight joint camping trip for the month of October. If there are any commissioners on the call, one of the things we would like commissioners to help out with is this is the time of year where we have to start looking at troop unit health. Is there room for more scouts? Are there girls that are crossing over and no girls troop in the community? Those are things that commissioners and even Cubmasters, I want to throw this back on you for a minute. If there's no Scouts BSA girls troop and you've got girls that are going to be crossing over, you should be in contact with us on the membership and unit service team so that we can assist and try to help you with direction. If that direction is working on trying to develop a Scouts BSA girls troop in your community, or looking at a nearby community, maybe there's a community within 5 miles that has an existing Scouts BSA girls troop. We want to help guide that if we can. And also with commissioners, again, we want you to also all be involved in that process. The big one here is in yellow, and you've heard us talk about it, and this should be all hands on deck. September is the time where we do Joint Scouting Day. So we haven't started planning for next year yet. In fact, we're still doing follow-ups from this year at the time of this recording. But this is something you should all be holding and hosting in your communities in the month of September. Let's move to my favorite month of October. So the month of October, for the Cubmaster and Webelos Den Leader, we want you to attend the joint camping trip with the troop. We want you to send your Webelos Den Leader Den roster, to your committee chair and or your unit commissioner by October 30th. We would like for you to meet with local Scoutmasters to discuss transition planning. Discuss when those visits are going to take place. Discuss how many Webelos are going to be crossing over. Have those conversations. And again, we want to provide every scout with every opportunity to be able to have options when they transition and crossover. So please make sure that you're including all the troops in your community. Work with your Scoutmasters to schedule and invite Webelos to Scouts BSA meeting or meetings, and encourage your Webelos to attend meetings that they are invited to. We want to make sure that, again, we give them this experience. On the Scoutmaster end, and again, everything we say for the Den Leader, the Webelos Den Leader, and the Cubmaster, you can kind of equate to the Scoutmaster's part of that on the other side. So, for example, attending the joint camping trip, planning the meeting to allow the Webelos to visit. Make sure that when they visit, you talk about things like summer camp for next year, general Webelos information. If you need general Webelos information, we at the Mayflower Council actually do have a pretty cool flyer that you can give to your Webelos so that when they begin this process of transitioning over, they know what to expect. We want you to work with the Cubmaster to schedule and invite the Webelos to a meeting. And we would like to make sure that when you invite the Webelos to their meeting, you invite their parents as well. For commissioners, commissioners should be arranging a meeting between leaders they should be involved in that meeting to discuss transition plans. We also want to encourage commissioners to assist the Scoutmaster with planning the meeting and possibly even be there. It's always nice when you are, as a commissioner, and even people on our team, it's great to go out and be part of this process. So commissioners should be doing their part and participating as well. We also want to ensure that commissioners are ensuring that invitations have been distributed by phone and or voicemail, and that actually should also say and or email. November. As we get closer to the holidays, you see that the number of things are kind of bunching up a little bit here. But again, it doesn't mean the commitment isn't there. Cubmasters and Den Leaders should be accompanying the Webelos and their parents to the troop meetings that they're invited to. If the Cubmaster can't do it, the assistant Cubmaster can step in. If the Webelos Den Leader can't do it, it's something that on the Cub level, you'll have to sit down and work out, especially if there are multiple meetings. Also, we would like Cubmasters and Den Leaders to hold a Webelos meeting with the Scout troop to speak about how the troop works. Maybe that's something you could do in conjunction with the Bear Den and introducing them to Scouts BSA. Maybe that could be a combined meeting. Again, have a conversation about it. Scoutmasters should be hosting the Webelos meeting with their parents and attend a Webelos Den meeting to teach the Scouts about how the troop works. So as you can see, what the Cubmaster's doing, the Scoutmaster's doing. And again, this is stuff that's in addition to your duties, which is why it's small stuff at this point. Commissioners, be there. Attend the Webelos Den meeting with the Scout troop and attend the Webelos meeting with the pack and the parents. Also, during the month of November, the council sent informational literature and letters to the parents of Webelos Scouts. There are two things we send out. The first one is 10 things that you should look for in your new scout troop. The second thing is a letter from the council letting the family know about crossover and how important it is, and how it plays a role in a scout's journey from Cub to Scouts BSA. So if you would like to see those particular PDFs, I believe they're posted on the membership page, but always feel free to email me. If they're not there, I'll be happy to send you a copy so you can see what we send out. We also do have that flyer, as I spoke about Webelos to Scout transition, and even with recruitment of Webelos. December. In December, Cubmasters and Webelos den leaders should begin with the assistance of the Scoutmaster to plan the crossover ceremony. You should also be encouraging your Webelos to visit a scout troop meeting in January. And again, no surprises, make sure you let the Scoutmaster know you're coming to visit. You should also begin to plan and host a meeting of first-year Webelos Scouts to introduce them to Scouts BSA. Now, that's something you can do with or without the Scoutmaster, but why not bring the Scoutmaster into that meeting too? That way they get familiar as they begin their Webelos journey, and they know what to expect when they cross over. Scoutmasters, set a date for the Webelos Scouts and their parents to come visit you in January, and also participate in the PAC's Blue and Gold Banquet and crossover ceremony. Commissioners, same thing. Help plan the Blue and Gold Banquet and the crossover ceremony. We're into a new year at that point. We're into January. Webelos den leaders and Cubmasters should begin planning that crossover ceremony and make sure that you get those dates over to the other people involved as soon as possible. Encourage Webelos to decide on joining a troop and which troop they plan on joining. January should be about that time at that point where they've seen enough information to be able to sit down with their parents and possibly you to make that decision. But again, remember, you're there to guide, answer questions, and provide support. Additionally, we want Cubmasters and Webelos den leaders to plan and host a meeting. Oh, we already talked about this. To make sure you have that meeting, with the first year Webelos Scouts. Scoutmasters, plan to be a part of the PAC's Blue and Gold Banquet and crossover ceremony. Can't make it? Make sure you're sending some people. Host Webelos at an upcoming Scout meeting in the month of January and attend that meeting of the first year Webelos. And again, commissioners, be part of the process, participate in the Blue and Gold Banquet planning. February is traditionally the month where Blue and Gold Banquets are taking place, and that's what we're going to talk about for the month of February. Have that Blue and Gold Banquet and crossover ceremony. Encourage Webelos, again, if you have Webelos that are on the fence, maybe have that conversation with them again to talk about what plan they're going to be joining, what troop they're going to be joining, Scoutmasters, make sure you're there. New Scouts should attend once they cross over the Klondike Derby or the Winter Camporee with their new troop. Once they cross over, folks, that pretty much is done. Once they're done with their Cub journey, there's really not a lot of interaction between a Cubmaster and a Webelos den leader unless they cross over, obviously, with them. They're going to participate more with things with their new troop. Yeah, they might come back and visit if they've got a sibling in the pack, and that's obviously welcome. We want to make sure that happens, but they should be starting to do activities with their new troop once they've crossed over. And at the same time, Scoutmasters, please begin to recruit parents of new Scouts to participate as adult leaders in the troop, or participate in things like helping out with campouts or hikes or activities or fundraising. Make sure the parents feel like they can still be part of their child's scouting journey. And commissioners, really easy. Be at the crossover ceremony. And again, part of your job as a commissioner is to provide support throughout the entire process. So if there's support needed, you know how to do it, you know what to do. But obviously, we want to set the expectation, if you can, to be there at the crossover. March. In the month of March, part of the job of the Cubmaster and the Webelos Den Leader is to help finalize the transition of Webelos to Scouts BSA. One of those things that is really important once your Scouts have crossed over is to go into my.scouting.org and initiate a transfer through Application Manager of your Webelos Scouts to their new Scouts BSA troop. Try to do it as quickly as possible and make sure it's done in a timely manner. That way they're covered with the new troop should anything happen. Additionally, host a meeting of the Bear Cub Scouts. I know I talked about possibly doing it in conjunction with your first years, but you know what? If you haven't done it already, make sure you have the Bear Cub Scouts meet with the Scouts BSA troop and learn more about Scouts BSA. Scoutmasters, have a spring quick camp out with your new Scouts to teach them basic Scout skills. Let them be part of the process. They're in your troop now, so let them participate, let them learn, let them do their program. Have a parents meeting to discuss summer camp. That's going to help boost your summer camp participation. Plan a troop activity for new Scouts and get them involved with their new troop. Again, the camp out could be a step in the right direction, but maybe you've got other plans. Maybe you've got a community service project. Maybe you're doing a hike. Maybe you're doing an outing. Whatever that is, plan something in the month of March. The weather starts getting nicer, so we're starting to get outdoors. And again, Scoutmasters, you should be at that Bear Cub Scout meeting and educating them on Scouts BSA. For commissioners, make sure that the Webelos Scout Transition Report is completed and submitted to the Mayflower Council. Believe it or not, we're halfway through the year. Let's get to April. We talked about that transfer in my.scouting.org. That should be done no later than the month of April, provided you've crossed your Webelos over already. You should also, Cubmasters and Webelos Den Leaders, follow up with the parents of Scouts who crossed over and ensure that their needs are met. And make sure that their move has been natural, fun, and timely. It's a great opportunity for you to keep in touch with the parents. And it lets them know that you not only cared about Billy's Cub Scout experience or Julie's Cub Scout experience, it shows that you cared where they ended up. It's a nice touch. Scoutmasters, finalize summer camp. Recruit adult volunteers. Work on a rank advancement with your new Scouts and work closely with new Scouts and their parents during their transition and make sure that those needs have been met and that this transition, again, does it sound familiar? Natural, fun, and timely. And when I say timely, I mean without a gap. Commissioners, help packs and troops with finalizing the crossover of Webelos to Scouts. If you have questions or concerns, membership at mayflowerbsa.org is where you're going to direct them if you can't handle them. So we've covered 7 months, but when we talk about May through August, May through August really begins the summer program part of the scouting season. So whatever your summer plans are, maybe you're still doing meetings May into June because school is still in session. When I was in Scouts BSA, once May came around and we had new Scouts in, we were doing more, we were doing fun stuff. We were actually doing hikes into the town forest and doing capture the flag and having all kinds of fun stuff. And that was our weekly meeting. We were still doing advancement, but we were doing, if the weather was nice, we were out there having fun. We were doing fun things. Like I said, hikes, capture the flag, doing campouts. So do that. Do your summer program. And you should also start in May through August, especially as we start talking about it on membership and unit service. Start getting ready for Joint Scouting Day. and fall recruitment with the membership and unit service team. If you have any questions, you're welcome to email me. My contact information is on the screen. Once again, thank you for attending and have a good night.